Right, hello again. What we're going to be working with this time is a little bit different. You've been working with objects such as boxes and cones and cylinders and all that kind of fun stuff. But what we're going to be looking at today is splines. Okay, so on your create area here, you've got your geometry. You've also now got something called shapes. If we click on that, you'll notice that you've got line, rectangle, circle, all these different things here, egg, because why not? And what do we do with them? Well, what I'm going to do is go to my top screen, my wireframe, and make that one large. So top down. Change it from wireframe to shaded because you won't notice what happens. So we need to make sure we can actually see the object. But I'm going to click on the line object, and then I'm going to start clicking, basically. So I've got a little cursor. I can click. And what's happening here? Well, I can actually trace something. So if I click and hold, I can actually make a curve. Click and hover again. Go back around, curve around here, and I can trace out whatever objects I want. Okay, and if I go back to the starting point, it'll say, do you want to close the spline? You'll say yes. So, and right click to stop. So what have I done? I've made a big blob on the floor basically, which is fun, but it's an odd shape. It's a shape you wouldn't really have had before, and it's quite difficult to make with just, you know, a square or a triangle or something. So what can we do with this though? Well, we can go to the modifier and we can extrude this, make it an actual solid object. That's quite interesting, quite cool. What is always the problem with splines, and what you need to sort of be wary of, is you've got all this lovely detail around the sides, but the actual top and bottom are flat, and that's because obviously we haven't placed detail there. You can do something building cages and things like this, but that is much more advanced level. But just think about this as a cool way of getting really quick shapes. And what I'm going to show you is one of the first things everyone wants to make. So let's try and make one. Go on then. If you're struggling with actually using polygons and edit poly and things like that, if you can't quite get your head around doing things, that's going to be really slow, isn't it? We could try and trace an image. Sorry, the internet's being rubbish today. So I'm going to go to my modifier. I'm just going to pause this back in a second. Right, well, the internet's being rubbish and all I can find is this random picture. So we'll try it anyway. What I'm going to do is drag a plane. Okay, hopefully you've messed with plane before. Plane is kind of just a flat material. We can use that as sort of a piece of paper, basically. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure that it's not creating. I'm going to put the length all the way down to 1, so it's just a flat piece. I'm going to press this one we haven't talked about yet. We're going to do a video on materials later, but a quick little shortcut. Press M on your keyboard. That's the material editor. Let's just delete that one a sec so you can, I'll remake it. I'm going to go to this mode. I think you should probably see this one. The slate editor. And what I'm going to do, as a word here, it says standard material. Drag that onto here, and then it says diffuse. I know this is a little bit complicated, we'll go through this in a minute, but drag out from here and then go to bitmap, and I'm going to try and find my picture of a guitar and say OK. And now what I'm going to do is drag this little dot here onto here. It will go grey because it's not quite as telling it to show it on the screen. Why it doesn't do that by default is beyond me, but then there's this little light bulb in a checker box that says show shaded material in viewport. Click that and then your picture will display on the screen. Okay, it's not the best. I'm really sorry the internet's being rubbish, but here we go. You're probably better off doing this with things like swords and things like that, but having it a top-down view saves a lot of time. Okay, so what I'm going to do is going to rotate this so it's kind of like that. This is actually a horrific picture. I'm really sorry. Let's try and straighten her up a bit. Oh dear. Oh well, I'm going to have to blag this. It needs to be skewed and all sorts. Oh well, let's have a wibbly wobbly guitar. Let's go back again. But the first thing you want to do really is make sure it is straight. It's dead on straight because that's how the neck would be. This is a really crap example, I'm sorry, but here we go. So what I'm going to do, first thing as well, look at it from the left or something and bring it back. When we look at it from the top, it doesn't look any different, but if it's below the world basically, so I'm not drawing on top of it and getting confused. It gives me a bit of space to actually work. So if I go to the top again, go to my shapes, and I'm going to get my line tool. And what I tend to say with things like this is when you're making any object, look at it in the real world, okay? If you were making your computer next to you, yeah? This case itself is not one machined piece. It's got a front, it's got a side, it's got bits on the side there. I would always recommend 100% make them separately. Yeah, because you've got different pieces then, plus they're interchangeable. You can use them for different objects, all sorts. Like a guitar here, we might think the neck will be the same on loads of different guitars, but you won't want different bodies. You know, if everyone plays a guitar, all your guitars probably look different. So you might have the same neck, but we could have different shaped bodies. So make things separately, okay? So I'm going to go on my line tool and think, okay, well the body of this guitar is definitely separate to the rest. So I'm going to click around and drag, and yes, I appreciate it's difficult to see sometimes when you're going there, especially if there's a white edge, but around you go. Try not to go insane on the clicks, but try and get a good level of detail when you're copying, you know. And if this is just an object which is going to be in like a room, we don't really care too much about the detail on the top and bottom, because who's going to see it, right? If you make a mistake like I just did there, like whoops, oh god, I made a mistake, backspace on your keyboard takes you back a step, okay? Don't try and go crazy and go everywhere, because it'll just follow. And we go here, we go here, here, and now we're going to do a bit of guesstimating. Shouldn't be too hard though. And it goes to there. And we say, okay, close that spline. Brilliant. We have that spline. That's really nice. What else can we do? Well, we'll probably do the neck as well. So let's do our wonky neck. This one kind of goes in a bit, doesn't it? Silly classical guitar. That could be one long piece. Down to there. That's there, cool. Close her up. Remember, you can zoom in, use your pan, using everything you've learnt here. That can go there. Just being as quick as possible. This is going to be an ugly guitar, but hey. Then we go back to where we start. Say yes. And I think I'm going to leave it there. That's fine. What I'm going to do is go back to my plane and say, see you later, I don't like you anymore. I'm going to go back to here, and now we can see this outline of this horrific shape. So I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to go to my modify, and I'm going to extrude her a bit. That's a bit too much. That's not a bad size for a guitar. I'm going to do the same with this. I'm going to extrude that. That's way too thick for a neck. Bring that up, but also bring it up so it's kind of in the guitar. Bring that up a bit and extrude that. And look what we've got. We've got a guitar. That's not bad as far as things go. What we can do though, obviously we need a hole here, and what we could do with that is we could inset on here, or we could draw on here, but that's sort of the thing we're going at. So for now, play about with lines, with splines, and don't forget that was just working with line. Do try on, you know, if you want a perfect circle, there you go. If you want an arc, you can click there. If you want a rectangle, again, really useful. If you want an ellipse, that could be useful. Yeah, let's show you something a little bit more advanced. You might like this. So I'm going to make an ellipse. I'm going to go top, T for top, sort of bring it about here. Can't see it because it's underneath. Bring it up. There it is. And what I'm going to do is actually I'm going to project this onto the guitar, onto the actual body. Hopefully this will work. Sometimes it goes mental, but we'll see. So you select the body, and you go over to here. You go to your geometry, and you go to your, where is it? It's compound objects, and you want to go to shape merge, and we pick the shape to merge. And we want to merge this shape with this. So we've got the main body selected when we're doing this. Select that. And look what's just happened. Can you see that? Hopefully you can see that. What it's done is merged that shape onto the main body. So we could, we'll have to, it's a bit around the houses, but then you do things like edit poly, grab this, grab that face, extrude it downwards. You know, we have a hole in our guitar. There's a hole in my guitar. There you go. That kind of stuff, and you keep going. We can add strings, so with the actual splines, they could just be lines going across, which we will then render out. Yeah, enjoy, have fun with that.